You are now tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hampton music, moments, and everything in between. I'm Stick Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
All right, man, what is up? We are closing in on the month of March, so we're already 2 months in, which is crazy to think. How's life treating you so far?
It's good, man. I can't complain too much. Um, I'm really thankful for last week. We were supposed to get like some crazy snow, like on Thursday or something like that. And they're like, oh, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be good. I don't know about you, but it didn't even snow. Did not even snow here.
No.
So what we talked about before, people buying all that salt, all that. I mean, maybe they'll be able to use it later on or something. But yeah, like it did not snow at all. Like I think it was like Tuesday. They're like, hey, I think it's passing by, so it's not even going to hit us. So I was like, okay, cool, works for me because it's just more of an annoyance. So I'm good. And today was still kind of cold, but it's getting warmer. I have heard that they're like, yeah, it's going to get kind of warmer, so I'm ready for that. I'm done with winter, done with all that. So I'm good. But how about you, man?
Yeah, we didn't get passed by, but you know, it wasn't as bad as they had initially said. I think they were talking about like a foot of snow for us in our area. We didn't get quite that much. It did knock out school, and then I was able to work from home for 2 days, but not nearly as bad as people buying up all the milk and eggs and crap. Um, but that's fine. It's fine. And yeah, like I said, I'm with you. Uh, I've never been a fan of winter, so anytime it can get out the way, it's great for me. Um, I do need to stop doing this up and down weather thing because that'd be getting people sick a lot, and I don't need that either. I've been avoiding it for a long time, but I'm sure I'll get sick right before spring hits. So,
That's unfortunate, because that's when everyone starts feeling good, starts feeling better. At the same time, though, I know some people that have the just the outside allergies. So, like when everything's starting to bloom, then if you're
hmm
not getting sick from the cold, you're getting sick from the flowers. So it's just like, what do you do at that point?
yeah, man, it's tough out here for the allergy people, man. The pollen be kicking my ass as soon as what you call it. It's the worst. Um, but it's okay because we got a new Charles Hamilton tape today, man, that we're listening to. One that I brought to the table this week, and we are listening to full name arguments with Briana when I want to wonder.
Yes, sir. Arguments with Brianna, or as some people have called it for short, When I Want to Wonder. Um, Technically, this is not the first of the series, I guess you could call it. There is a arguments with Brianna before this, but we decided to check this one out first. We've done that before with the Catholic Illuminati, technically. So,
hmm
at least we're not like going from number four to number one or whatever.
hmm
Anyway, with When I Want to Wonder, this tape came out, I believe it was October of 2011, that 2011-ish era where Charles didn't have too much like dropping at that point because he got out of jail. He's trying to get back to the music.
hmm
Um, Interesting name for the tape just because just we know about his situation with Brianna and like their history,
hmm
and it's like he basically dedicates two tapes to her with her name in it. So it's just like, okay, so when you hear When I Want to Wonder, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's him talking about like their past relationship, how it could have worked better, how
hmm
things could have changed maybe. So you never really know what you're going to get. I was trying to do some research on this tape, didn't find too much. I know one person back in the old Facebook group, they were just like, yeah, man, I think this tape is slept on. I don't know how everyone else feels about it. I think most people might not have checked this out because maybe some of the other tapes that came out in 2011, they were just like kind of turned off by the quality and just what Charles was dropping right after coming back from like mental hospital, jail, and all
Yeah.
that. So this might have flew under the radar for a couple people.
Yeah, this one's there's a reason I picked this one because it does have a song that I really like, and I was always wondered where it came from. So when I was searching for some stuff, I found it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I just put that in my back pocket to kind of pull out here for an episode for us. But do we know when the first one came out? Like the first argument with Brianna? Similar time frame, or what are we looking at?
I'll look it up. I'd say probably a similar time frame, but let me just double check to make sure. Uh,
I just think it's interesting because like at this point, if it's 2011, we're kind of a good amount removed from that situation. So it's like, you know, why are we still kind of chatting about it, or like what triggered him into bringing it back up? I guess would be my initial question.
okay, I might be wrong. So obviously I'm going by like YouTube when it gets like uploaded on YouTube. Shout out to the
Mm,
usual people like 20 Hamel 12 and
mm,
the Sega Genesis channel. You know who you guys are, who's been uploading these projects. Um for the first one, I guess, that was uploaded October 29th of 2011, but then with this, When I Want to Wonder,
mm.
October 27th. So
That's
within the same
weird.
time period. So like
Yeah.
within the same time period. Now I will say this, I don't know which was officially recorded, but definitely, like I said, within the same time period. And you
Yeah.
could tell because when you listen to both of them, they're both recorded very similarly. Like this is when Charles wasn't having he was rapping within the MacBook, doing the
Hmm.
freestyle or rapping to the MacBook, no microphone, no nothing like that. So
Yeah.
just you can definitely tell by the quality of these tapes.
Yeah. Do you remember your first time listening to this tape, or if you did at all?
Not really. I do remember listening to the original. Well, I guess we'll call that the original, but When I Want to Wonder, I didn't really. I remember going back to listen to this for this week or last week, hearing some songs. I'm like, this does sound familiar. So I know I have heard it. It's just that it's been a long time. It hasn't been something I came back to.
Hmm.
There might have been one or two other songs where I know there's at least one that we'll get to where I heard it. I'm like, okay, I remember this now. But I just remember, actually, no, it is two. It's definitely two. Two songs I heard where I'm like, okay, I remember this now. But
Hmm.
it's just, I might have listened to it once or twice and then never picked it back up.
Got it.
Um, but that's all I really have for that. But what about you? I know you said there's like that one song, but do you
Mhm.
really remember, listening to it too much?
Not the tape itself. I'm not even sure how I stumbled upon that song. It was probably I was just on like a Charles Hamilton playlist or something, and it might popped up, and I heard the song. What's interesting about the YouTube playlist that we use, shout out to 20 Hammer 12, is though the cover of the tape is like the cover of the playlist. When you play the songs, it's usually just pictures of Charles, and so that's why I usually remember from that. So when I was looking for the actual the tape, I couldn't find it because of that very reason. But yeah, just that one song, and then everything else, is fairly new to me. I didn't understand what the concept of the tape was, what he was doing on the tape until till this week, obviously. But you know, good for us to listen and kind of check this out. Um, we're gonna do best of three today. 14 songs. Uh, I guess my first thing we should talk about is the tape cover. I guess this is the official cover, which seems to just be a greenish turquoise colored background with Charles in the background. I think that's a knife back there. What did you think about that?
So one thing I did want to say was, of course, back in 2011, maybe 2012, I'm not sure when it started, but when you would upload stuff, you just uploaded it. Whoever it was, you just put the picture up there. And probably back then, those are like pictures that like most Star Chasers probably didn't see or weren't familiar with. So that's why it's like all different pictures for every different song or whatever. Or
Mhm.
maybe like popular, or maybe there some more popular pictures of Charles. Um, but I know later on when you can start making playlists, you can start changing that type of stuff up. Or even when you made a YouTube video,
Yeah,
you couldn't change the thumbnail. There was no thumbnail. It's just you had like three choices within the video. Was if you just once you actually got the choice to do that, I'm pretty sure whoever made the playlist was like, oh, you know what? Let's actually start making these a little better, making them a
yeah,
little bit more, making them stand out more. Um, so it's two things, right? Because you see Charles on there on one side, then you see Knife on the other. And I always talk about that picture because I'm pretty sure, oh, yes, the picture of Charles in the studio doing his best Tom MySpace impression there,
yeah,
you know. So I've always talked about that picture. It's a good picture of Charles, and then someone just put Knife on the other side, just it's dope. So that's one of those things where you could kind of figure, okay, Charles and Knife, so this is probably Charles rapping on some Knife Wonder beats. So,
Mhm.
but it's a nice cover. It doesn't have to do too much. That's my whole thing. We've talked about it before. The covers don't have to be extravagant. At the same time, I don't need them to be so basic where it's just a picture of like a water bottle. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, oh well, what does this mean? No, it's just a picture he
Yeah.
took. So it's decent. How do you feel about it?
It's cool, just it gets to the point, I guess, if you're pun intended, wondering what the tape is going to be about. If you see Wonder in big bold letters there, and then you see Ninth Wonder in the corner there, you kind of get an idea of what we're about to be, listening to. Um, could this be considered a I mean, I know it's not, but like a basically a happy ninth type of situation, happy birthday ninth type of tape? Because I mean, what would differentiate this tape from a night from another ninth tape that we listened to?
So I would say no, just because it wasn't given like the surname or the
Yeah.
title or the subtitle of Happy Ninth or anything like that. And there
Mm,
are other tapes that are like Happy Ninth Birthday or Happy Ninth 2, Happy Ninth Remix, HD Turbo Edition, stuff like that.
mm.
Um, I know you're laughing. They can't see it, but I can see you
They
laughing.
can't, but they can't see it though. So.
Are you John Cena? All right. So nah, but it doesn't have like any of that in the name. So that's the only reason why I would say like that. That's why it's not. Otherwise, I think Charles just would have named it that. Like he could have said like this is a Happy Knife 2.5 or something like
Yeah.
that, but he didn't. I think that this is just Charles being like, hey, I want to do a because I want to say for the arguments with Briana, the regular one, it
Hmm.
was more of Charles on his production. I think Charles wanted to maybe do more songs that had to do with like the whole Brianna situation, where
Hmm.
he's like, you know what, I want to do this on some knife production. So let me do this, but on some knife production, like a part two to that, but not
Got it.
necessarily, you know, how people talk about a remake or a retelling of a story, a reboot. It's kind of like that, where it's like, it's canon, but it's not in this universe. It's in a different, separate universe. But it's not like it's a fake or bad telling of a story. It's just, hey, this is just separate from the original main storyline.
Before we start, I do want to let everybody know that the poll is still up for the March Madness tournament that is coming up this month. No, coming up next month. Sorry. So be sure to vote for that. It will be closing soon. But yeah, keep your votes, get your votes in, and we will have the results sometime soon.
Correct, and I agree. It's going to be a great showing. Listen, we had a great. I was wrong. Stick to this because I was like, I don't know how people are gonna feel about it when we first did it last year, but I was wrong, and I'm glad I was. So I'm excited to see what everyone's gonna say this year. So, when we have it up, you'll see, and please vote. I say it every time, but I want to make sure this is as I want to make this a success, and also I want us to be able to keep doing this as long as this podcast lasts. So,
Okay, so best three. Would you like me to start, or do you want to start today?
you mean how I normally start?
Right,
I
correct,
actually want you to
correct.
start. I
That's fine.
actually want you. Show me how it's done, sir. I want you to start.
Good.
You, beep, boop, boop, stick
Which
man,
uh,
tell him.
no, don't associate me with him right now.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, don't associate with me and him right now. He's getting cooked. Um, my three. I'm just gonna start with the one that I know for sure. That was the one that brought me to the save. Sun Gun. Really love Sun Gun. I think that's one of my favorite ninth beats. Charles is really rapping over there. Um, really good bars, very memorable bars for me. And the freestyle sounds very controlled and very tight in this situation. Nothing, no stumbles, no weird out of space, out of left field type of situation. This really is a um, good freestyle that he does on this one. And he kind of gives us two verses, kind of lets the beat play as the hook, which is I like a lot here. Because you don't get a lot of second verses on this tape. It's like it's not a good enough balance for me. I feel like it's a lot of just rapping. Um, so Sun Gun's number one. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Six Sense, the second track. Um, Again, another good beat. I think Charles does some good rapping on here. I will say there's a point in the middle of this song where he starts doing this weird voice that I'm like, that first time hearing that, I was like, bro, why? Is he about to rap like this the rest of the time? But he doesn't. So it's just something you have to get through for like a good 6 to 7 seconds, and then it's over. But other than that, that little portion of the song, I do like this one a lot. That was an early contender as far as like another good record on here. What was the other one that I liked? I think it was this. Oh no, it was "Don't Spend a Dime." I thought "Don't Spend a Dime." After hearing it a couple more times, I'm like, you know, this is okay. I like what he did here. Um, Kind of has like again a song element to it. Does a pretty good job rapping. Nothing too crazy on here. Um, but yeah, I think those three kind of were the highlights of the tape for me. Um, I will address the rest of the tape as we go along.
Understandable. Dope. I feel you. I feel you. All right. So some of the songs you picked, I'm like, okay, makes sense. There's one that I thought you would have picked that it might have just missed your top three.
Mm,
So you said Sun Gun. That was the one I think with the hook on the do 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 do, like the beat was doing that, I think. Soulful beat, Charles starts off. I felt like he started off a little slow, but he catches up eventually. Like I think maybe the first couple bars, he was like kind of like just getting the let out, you know what I mean? Um I think the little hook he did was kind of like he was singing. It was cool. It's decent. It's a nice song.
mm,
Um Not one of my favorites, but it's something that I do like to listen to.
mm,
6 Sense. Early in the tape, I'm like, man, Charles, he flowed so well to the beat. The bars are sharp and focused. Here's my thing, right? Because he mentions it too, because like he's about to go on this little tangent, and then he's like, oh, back to being focused. And this is what I mean. Like, you know how we've had conversation with Charles where he's like, what do you guys mean by me being focused? Because you hear him say on songs, yeah, and I'm focused because I never wrote this. It's like, no, that's not you being focused. You're just freestyling just to freestyle.
mm,
This was like you were zoned in on this song. Um Also he mentions not writing in this song as well.
mm,
But here's my thing, right? So if you basically, I'm gonna say it like this: you have to rap like this every single time. If you're gonna brag about, I don't write my shit down, I freestyle off the top, or I write my head, and all of it's good. Then you better rap like this every single time. Everything has to be like lined up like this. Everything has to be just this potent. Um, Even the part where you were like, he did the little voice, right? Um. I'm gonna shoot him some bail. It was 2011. You know what I mean? Like back then, it wouldn't be looked at as offensive. And then the one thing I was gonna say, because at one point he's like, "Oh, I should rap like this the whole beat." No, I'm not going to. I'm like, "Thank God, thank God," because even back then I would have been like, "Nah, bro, that's not like." I get what he did because he was going off with everything, and like I
mm,
said, everything was crisp. It was focused. It was just like lasered in. So it's like really dope. And that's just my whole thing. It's like if you're going to keep talking about how you freestyle everything or you write or you don't write, it's like it has to sound this crisp.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, and I think that's why sometimes certain projects and songs get missed because let's say like if Charles is shooting 4 out of 10, right? You'll have four of these, and then you'll have six other ones that don't sound like that. And it's like that's when people are gonna start tuning out, and that 4 out of 10 turns to a 2 out of 10.
Hmm.
Um, the last one, Don't Spend a Dime. I'm gonna say this. It's not my favorite, but this might be the best beat on the tape. I think this is the best
Mm,
beat on the tape. Charles Flow on here. At one point, he was reminding me of Danny Brown, and then I was like, wait a minute, because I was thinking in my head because it's the and I went to the no, and it's like that. I'm like, Danny Brown kind of raps like that, but at the same time, if I remember, Danny Brown, I think he shouted out Charles Hamilton at some point in the past, just saying that he was, I don't want to say inspiration, but he did listen to his music at some point, whatever. So,
mm,
and there are some similarities because Danny Brown had like the weird look, and I think he was missing the tooth and all that. So, like,
mm.
I say, like, Charles walked so Danny Brown could run when he had his little time in the sunlight. So, shout
Yeah.
out Danny Brown. But with some of these songs, Charles is doing like a quick rap, like a one verse rap freestyle, whatever. This is like a quick story. Um, I think it's basically about Charles just wants some top, where he says, "Oh, he was with Briana, whoever, and he told her, I deserve it." So I was like, "Hey, if you feel like you deserve it, he probably did, and he probably did." So so your three songs, I rock with them. They're pretty good songs. Um, Now for mine. I'm going to say, I got you. All right, so I'll start with the first song from the Hamilton show.
Okay.
Um, Heard that beat come in, infectious. I was just like, man, great intro track. There's nothing too crazy, but it didn't need to be. Like it sounds just like an intro track.
Hmm.
Um, Bars are nice, you know what I mean? It matches up with the beat. I just really like that beat too. So I'm like, damn. So Charles did his thing on that one. Okay. Another one I like, I'll say, I figured you would have picked this one, but I'll pick it. Cut Me Deep. Another really solid soulful beat from Ninth. Charles does well on this. Um, I've always had this thing where when rappers when they're rapping along to a song and there's a sample in it, the cut me
Hmm.
deep part, he might stop what he's saying to let the beat say the bar or whatever, then he goes back. Similar to Cameron and Joel's when he did Oh Boy. You know what I mean? They'll stop what they're saying to, so I
Classic.
always like that. I always like when rappers do that. Um Charles is basically talking about Briana again. Most of these songs he's talking about some type of story with Briana and how they made a great team. The hook on the song is okay. I'm not really the biggest fan of the quality of like the sound of
Yeah.
it because the verses were fine, but then it's just like a little louder, a little irritating. But other than that, like the beat's really good. Um, Verses are good. Um, my third, man. 'Cause I'm trying to figure out if I want to pick this one or not. You know what? I know what I'm going to pick for my third one. My third one is Donkey.
That's what I thought. I heard that I was like, this is a Mike record.
Yeah, like that one it almost didn't, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go with this one. So, beat has some bounce to it. Charles has some good energy to the song. Verse is good. The hook is what brings it in. She was shaking that donkey. She was shaking that donkey. Like you can't even be mad at it. You know what I mean? Like next
Yeah.
time I see a girl shaking that donkey, I might act the ass. You know what I mean? I might ask the DJ to play this song. He gonna be like, I have no idea what you're fucking talking about, but I'm gonna
He's gonna
try
be
and
like, what?
he like, yo, like who's Charles Hamilton? It's like, yo, you motherfucker. No, but
He's gonna pull up his laptop. Charles Hamilton.
yeah, but I was vibing with that song. So those are gonna be my three, my top three.
Okay. The Hamilton show does start the tape off pretty well. It kind of sets the vibe, I guess, sets a mood at least. Um, that was a solid entry. Like I say, it's nothing. It's not over the top, and it didn't have to be because it's like setting the table. Like here's the plate. Cool. This is a pretty good record. I would have probably had this in my top three if not for the other ones that I chose. Um, Cut Me Deep. It's the soulful beat, the soulful part, right? That you thought. Here's the thing: most ninth records are like soulful, so it's like you know, it's one of those things where it's like I probably prefer the original. I prefer, you know what I'm saying? What I get what Charles was doing with it, but I think that initial start wasn't the greatest for me. And like I like what he does with it afterwards, but it's just like you said, the audio thing is an issue throughout the tape, depending on especially from when we started with Charles, and this is kind of the era where it's like, all right, bro, like what's happening? Where's the mic? Where's the audio quality that we're used to? Um, so it's like I said, it's not a bad record. I think it's just one of the ones where it's like, it's cool. Um, Donkey is one of the ones I want to hate so bad, but I'm like, it's infectious, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like cool, bro. I get it. This isn't the one. It's just no. Stand in Line is the one where the girl named Diana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's a good record. I like this one. Like I said, the hook is really what kind of ties it together. Um, I'm trying to remember. Uh, no, that's right. Okay, I'm thinking about Staying in Line again and trying to figure out if that was one that maybe I mixed with the one I had, but it's not. It's fine.
Those were the two songs I was going between for my for the
Okay,
last Donkey and Stay in the Line.
I
Because
figured.
I was going with that, but I was like, I'm gonna go with Donkey. But go ahead. With the MacBook. Go ahead, man.
Um, the MacBook recordings, right? We've had this conversation a lot throughout this podcast. That isn't considered. I think people think that anything that isn't the studio quality or we'll just call it the Interscope quality. That's just we'll call it that. They think anything other than that was named the dirty leather wallet sound. But that is also restricted to a very specific time frame um, when it comes to me and you, as far as it's usually around that blue lava lamp one type of situation. This is a little bit uh, more developed than that, but it still has that audio issue. How did you feel about this when he started doing this? Like, what was your initial reaction to the MacBook situation?
Well, I want to say before we even knew it was him, rapping into the MacBook, I don't think he was doing that at first. You know what I mean? Like once we see him more like Ustream, right?
Mm,
You would see him and he explained it saying, the MacBooks cost this much and the Apple technology costs this much. So I know what I'm doing when it comes to these products or whatever. You
mm,
actually don't need the microphone because this costs this much money. So when he was explaining all that, I'm like, well, especially at this time, like Apple, I think was like really coming up too, because like Apple, like everyone's buying like the iPhones and the MacBooks and all that type of stuff, and like you started seeing the war with the either you're getting an Android or you're getting an iPhone, you know what I
mm,
mean? So some of the stuff was understandable, but I'm like, bro, like at the same time, the quality of some of these songs like are suffering because of like you not rapping into an actual microphone. You know what I mean?
mm,
My thing is like it wasn't even about you gotta be in a padded room, like studio-esque, you know what I mean? $10,000 worth of like no, like rap into a microphone, So for me, there's certain songs where I was cool with, and then there's other songs where like when you would hear it, you just knew you're just like, man.
mm,
And it just all depends because let's say if you don't like a song, is the song bad because the song is a bad song, or is the song bad because there's no microphone? You know what I
mm,
mean? So because there's sometimes it's like the song's not really bad. It's like it just would have been better if you would have rapped into a microphone. So
mm.
um I had mixed feelings on it because like I'm like there's certain songs I'm like I'm cool with this, and then other songs I'm like, man, this could have been so much better.
Yeah, I think that's really what it boiled down to. It's just that we wish that there are songs where different categories. There were good songs that could have been great because of audio quality. There are songs that were unfairly probably deemed or projects unfairly deemed as bad because of the audio quality. And there might be stuff on there that's actually good. It's just that it's hard to hear it. And then there's that middle ground where it's like your casual listener is just not going to listen because hey, this sounds like you just wrapped inside your MacBook. Like I feel like anybody who grew up like just playing around with like audio recording engineer, any type of recording studio did that where they would rap in front of the computer and do that. We knew how it sounded, so that's why when he started doing it, we're like, bro, like, no, we know, like, I get what you're saying, the money and all this stuff, but it still sounds like you're rapping into your computer's mic. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that's just because it costs more money doesn't mean that it's gonna change that version of it. So I think that was just kind of that tough period where it's like you want to like the music more, but we're just conditioned to hear a certain type of quality. And there are people who have done like lower lo-fi or lower quality type of like sound or whatever, Doom and stuff like that, but they still did certain things to make it accessible to like what's called. And I feel like we're like underground rap type of quality fans or whatever, so we know what it sounds like and when it sounds good. So I think that was my biggest gripe going throughout this tape, honestly.
Yeah, so and let me make sure I say this because I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again just to remind people in case someone wants to type it in the comments or if Charles sees this. I do remember at this time, especially Charles getting out the hospital, he had the health issues and then him not
Hmm.
being able to stand up as well, the whole wheelchair thing,
Hmm.
having to lay down to record vocals. And I'm not sure if this is around that still that same time, but I was there. I was there when Charles was saying, "Hey, I can't stand up for long periods of time, so sometimes I gotta lay down to record my vocals, or I gotta sit down to record my vocals. I can't just be standing up like in the studio." So I get
Hmm.
that, but like you said, there have been other people that have made lo-fi quality projects, but it's more like, hey, you recorded it, with this equipment, and then you just, start to break it down a little bit so it sounds lo-fi. You might not record it at lo-fi, but that's like we said, neither here or there. That's where it was in 2011. So
Um, Now about some songs that may have missed the mark. Again, I'll have like an overall view of like the entire tape as far as like
actually,
my
actually, can I start?
yeah, actually, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah. So this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna be my first time ever doing this, right? Not
Okay.
gonna make sense. I'm gonna sound crazy. So, we just talked about Stay in the Line. It just missed my mark for like one of my top threes.
Uh-huh.
It's in my bottom three, which
That's
makes
fine.
no sense, but I'm gonna explain it.
No, it's fine.
So
I'm interested. Yeah.
so here's my thing, right? I'm in love with the beat. I love the beat. Charles, he did a Midwest flow on here, and he was talking about he dissed Machine Gun Kelly, but shout out to him. I cannot remember. I do not know what he said, why, but I'm assuming I don't know.
It's gotta be a Cleveland, Ohio thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Charles is Cleveland's Bow Wow, so he did say that. No, but so here's my thing, right? I like the flow and the beat and what Charles did to the song. My biggest issue, well, two things, right? I feel like because some parts he might have been like rapping a little too fast in the beat, whatever. So if he maybe slowed down a little bit, just a tiny bit, whatever, it would have
Hmm.
flowed a little bit better. Also, maybe if he wrote this one, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, there's definitely could have been some better bars. They weren't bad, but I'm like, man, I know he could have snapped on this even harder if he wrote this. Um, but it's the sound quality. This song could have been 10 times better. I think this would have been
Hmm.
my top one. Cause I listened to this song the most, like this whole weekend. I listened or past weekend, I listened to this song the most. I had to repeat, repeat, repeat. And I'm
Yeah.
like, do I really like this song or am I like trying to be biased? Cause I'm like, I'm trying to make sure I'm not being biased. And I was like, you know what? Other than the sound quality, yeah, I like it. But at the same time, I'm like, but how do I feel about the other songs? Um, I'm thinking about it, especially the hook. Then you start hearing the quality of the MacBook recording, and I'm like,
Hmm.
man. So it's one of those things where like, let's say if you got like a brand new T-shirt, you loved it, and someone like spilled chocolate milk on it, or like they stain your shirt right
Yeah.
after you got it. It's like, man, like I got. Then you try to hurry up and wash it, and you get most of the stains out, but then it's just like, man, it's like this is a really good song. It was a really good song, but like I said, it wasn't completely ruined. It's not like technically in my worst. It's just like, man, this could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just like, I'm just upset about it. I'm like, I wish this song was recorded how some of the other ones were. Because there's other songs on here, of course, they were all doing the MacBook recording, but I'm like, I can tolerate it. It's not like the over loud arching stuff. So, but
Hmm.
with this song, it's like, man, you could just, like I said, maybe him being too loud and maybe not the vocals being mixed as well. But when you're recording with little to no equipment, you really can't control that. You know what I mean? So that's my first. The next ones are going to be very obvious, right? So,
Okay.
well, I'll say that you'll know they're very obvious. So, um, my second one is going to be iPhone 4.
Yeah.
And this is not because I'm an Android guy, not because of that, but we've talked about this before. So this song's basically a 7-minute song, 7-minute
Hmm.
freestyle, whatever you want to call it. You know how I feel about it. Sometimes I'm like, yo, it's cool when Charles raps, freestyles for a long time, but after a certain point, I'm like, bro, like, you just cut it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I don't always want to hear 7 minutes or 5 minutes or 6 minutes of freestyling. You know, it's a time and a place. You know what I mean? Not that it was bad. I don't think that it was bad, but it's just like,
Yeah.
Um, I remember when I first heard this beat, right? And I'm like, yeah, I remember this beat because a lot of people rap to it. I'm like, it was cool. Now, it's one of those beats I can't really stand. I'm like, so that has to do with it too.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, especially for 7 minutes, when I was listening to it again, I'm like, man, like, is it the beat that's really annoying? I'm like, I feel like this beat because like it does the and you hear like this squeaking from it. I'm like, man,
Hmm.
I'm like, was that originally the beat doing that? Or the audio quality of Charles rapping into the MacBook? And I'm like,
Hmm.
man. So I'm like, I gotta find the beat. And I remember it was G Dep, Child of the Ghetto. It's his
Hmm.
song. And I've heard other people like Cameron rap on it, Davies. Those like those beats like it'll be like Fabulous, Lloyd Banks, Cassidy. Those like those beats for the spitters, whatever. They
Yeah.
always rap when they're doing like a 5 minute freestyle. Um so I listened to their versions and I'm like, no, the beat's not as annoying. It's Charles rapping into the MacBook where
Yeah.
it's picking up like how it sounds, and I'm like, so that makes it worse. Like if you just listen to anyone else's where it has that studio quality, it's like the beat's fine. The beat's fine. But since Charles rapped into the MacBook how he did, and then the beat sounds like that, and that messes up the quality of some of the songs too. Like we're saying,
Hmm.
not just the vocals, sound of the instrumental and all that. So it's a lot going on with that. Where I'm like, I just rather not listen to it. I'm gonna skip it every time. So,
Yeah.
um, last one, um, Sensibility 2. So I'm just going to tell you like this.
Hmm.
This is not better in any way, shape, or form better than the first one. Shout out to Show. You know what I mean? Charles and Show did the first version, whatever. Same
Yeah.
beat, same beat. Charles just wanted to do like a freestyle to it. The freestyle is okay. Um, Here's the thing. If you've never heard Sensibility, the first one, and you just heard this, you probably be like, oh, this is a cool freestyle. This is nice. This is all right. This is cool. But then you go back to the first one, it's like, man, like it's a structured song. They were flowing on there, had a little bit of singing and whatnot. Like they had a bit of everything. But this is Charles just freestyling. Um, then he did like a new hook, and it's just like, no,
Mm.
no, I'm not, I'm not rocking with it. It's one of those things where like we talked about it before. Um, when there's a really good first movie. Then the second movie came out and it was a different producer, a different director. And it's just like that's how it felt with that. I'm like, nah, you should have just left this alone, just kept it as Sensibility, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, but uh those are my three. Also, I noticed for some reason the comments on that song were turned off, so I'm not sure why that was, but I think if I remember, a lot of other Star Chasers weren't really feeling that either. But you know, those are my three. What are yours?
About the comment situation. There's a couple of songs on here that have, I think Brianna's Universe also has the comments turned off. Possibly the freestyle arguments with Brianna. I can't remember specifically. But yeah, that anytime I see that, I'm like, that's an interesting thing. Like, why did they do that for that one, but not the others? I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. You picked all of mine, so I'm just this will be very easy. Um, and I had to make sure. Stand in Line is the one where he's rapping really fast when the beat starts, right?
The Dirty Diana, where he says
Yeah,
BAD, and then like
yeah,
you hear that Dirty Diana, it's like him either screeching, with
yeah.
him doing that, and yeah.
I just that beat. I don't know if that beat needed that fast flow. I think he could have, like you said, he could have slowed it down and really made that a song, like really made that his own, you know? I wish he had kind of slowed the flow down, really, and like I said, listen, these are all freestyles, and he's really gonna tell us that he's not writing any of this, which we have to get to a point where we can say that just because you don't write something and it's still impressive. It's still impressive that you were able to craft that. It doesn't make it great automatically though. Because, there are people who can rhyme for days. It doesn't mean that they're like a great rapper. Like they didn't have a great rap. You know what I'm saying?
Real quick, this is how I look at it, right? Because I agree. If you're able to freestyle, you can freestyle, and it's dope. At the same time, I'm grading you on the same metric scale as someone that's going to be writing down. So if you decided to blindfold yourself while taking the pop quiz, and you started missing answers because of that, No one said you had to, do it blindfolded or do it with your left hand if you're right-handed. No one told you to do that. You chose to do that, so I'm going to expect that if you're that good, you're going to be making those shots too. You're going to be making those too because if it's that easy, right? Oh, if it's that easy, I'm doing this then. All right, cool. Don't miss. So that's my little quick punch in. Go ahead.
So it just feels like if he had, even if he didn't want to write the entire thing, if he had just wrote down like a concept of what he wanted to do and kind of keep to that, I think it would have made for a better song. Um, yeah, but I like because when you said that when that beat starts, I'm like, okay, cool, this is about to be crazy. And then he just runs off to the races. He's done this on a few tracks where I'm like, I think he did it a few times on Coke or Habits, and it was another song that he did it on a different tape when I was really anticipating like a very tight like flow or whatever, and then he just runs off the map and it's weird. So yeah, that one kind of missed the mark for me for sure. iPhone 4, I thought it was just really interesting that for the first, what, 11, 12? Yeah, for the first 12 songs, 2 minutes, 25, 2:47, 2:37, 1 minute, 20, and then all of a sudden, 7 minutes of just rapping, just straight rapping. It's such a weird turn. This feels like a middle of the tape type of thing where it's like, okay, 6 or 5 2 minute tracks. Here's this random 7 minute middle track. Back to the 2 minute tracks. Putting it near the end, and not even at the end, which is the wild part enough. It's just a sequencing thing. I'm not saying that he wasn't rapping. I think he did a really good job of just rapping and continuing to rap here. But it's like this is one of my least favorite uh Charles tracks where he's rapping a bunch. I like some on other tapes where it's like, okay, this 8 minute record, cool, I'm fine with this. This is fine. But this is one where it's like I think that beat is also kind of like you said, combined with the rapping in the MacBook with the beat that's already kind of jarring in itself. Not a bad beat, but it's just like the combination isn't helping at all, right? Yeah, yeah, at seven. This is the one time where I'm like, I'm with you. Like, I'm not trying to hear you rap 7 minutes over this, bro. This should be 4 minutes max. Get what you got to get out of the way and go there, because you could have cut it off at any point. Um, and then yeah, sensibility too. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, it's the same beat. Oh, we didn't need this. I was like, I no. The first one is so far superior to this one. It's not even close. I'm glad he shout out show. Um, but you do the side by side. It's not. It's what they always say. Uh, what they say. A Chrysler always looks like, or a Chrysler always look good until a Rolls Royce pull up. You know what I'm saying? Eh, it's like sensibility was perfect. Great hook. It felt like studio quality kinda. And then just both verses by both guys were really good. And this one it's okay. It just was no need. It's like when people got mad that Teen Titans Go exists. It's like, oh, we got Teen Titans, but hey, but here's Teen Titans Go, which is fine. But it's like we didn't need it. We didn't need it. Um, I would say the only other one that I have on the list is the Occupy Wall Street. Another one where it's just like I just I don't know, man. It's one of them songs where like it ends the tape, but there's like nothing. I don't remember how it sounds, if that makes sense. Like I've heard this tape a few times now throughout the week. And I get to the end because after that 7 minute track, that's the only thing I remember. That I thought that ended the tape for a while. And then it pops up again like, yeah, it's such a weird sequencing this one is. It's not nothing memorable about it. I know it has that little effect on his voice a little bit there, like on I guess it's the hook, maybe the verse a little bit, but it's just there, man. And that's a theme on the tape, I think. It's there. How'd you feel about Occupy Wall Street?
It's crazy you say that because with two things, right? So with real quick about sensibility too. I remember I think I was having a conversation with Charles before, like recently, where there's been certain beats he's had where like he will want to black on a song, like just go crazy on it. But the certain energy I guess he would know that the energy wouldn't call for it. It's like, oh, you gotta make a song like this, So think about
Hmm.
Sensibility One. They were smooth. It was kind of like a get high song, chill out, vibe out song. Where then Charles always thinks about, oh, but you could really go hard on the song. It's like you can. Should you? No. And I think this is one of them situations where like I could probably bring that up to him now. Like, I know what you're talking about and you've done it before, and that's
Hmm.
probably why you shouldn't do it. But when it comes to Occupy Wall Street, if I didn't put Stand in Line in my, bottom three,
Hmm.
Occupy Wall Street was going to go in there. It was
Yeah.
definitely going to go in there. So I like the beat. It's like mysterious, ominous. The verses were cool. I didn't really like the hook or the filter, like the thing you're
Hmm.
talking about, that effect he had on there. I think I just have more of a mixed feeling on this song because it was the last song. So I'm like, with a
Hmm.
lot of songs I felt, I'm like, all right, cool. And then this ends it. I'm I think that's like this is like one of the worst ways Charles has ended a project where I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, that was the last song. Especially how strong he started off. So
Hmm.
Hamilton show started off strong, and this like what they say, it goes out with a whimper. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I'm not really feeling this one. So, but yeah, what a crazy dynamic. How you start off so well and then yeah, it ends crazy because a lot of the songs we're talking about are like right at the end too, literally the end of the tape.
Yeah. This is probably one of those tapes where it's like you're either it's front loaded or like middle loaded as far as like where you're gonna find your favorite songs. Because yeah, it just seems like it's a downhill towards the end of the tape. Um, with possibly like audio choices, but mainly just choices he made as far as where he put songs. I think you know, I think if you don't put Occupy Wall Street last or on this tape at all, honestly, or if you put like iPhone 4 in the middle, and let's say you end with something like I really don't want to end with Sensibility 2 either. Um, Damn, see that's where it gets tricky. Like if you look at the last three songs, Sensibility 2, iPhone 4, Occupy Wall Street, I wouldn't want any of those to end the tape. I wouldn't
No,
want
I agree.
yeah.
I don't even.
I mean, you could end it on iPhone 4 because it kind of makes sense. He's just going crazy rapping at the end, but it's like I mean, we weren't a fan of that song, so it's like that wouldn't be a good way to end it. You really can't end it with Donkey. That seems like an earlier portion of the tape, you would think. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't remember what Forgive Me sounds like. I wouldn't end it with Sun Gun. So like you're like this seems like a bunch of there's no real outro on this tape.
It's crazy you say that because oh, you know what? I had a little thing I'll say about Forgive Me, right? Because I'm like, Charles did some singing hooks on this project.
Mm,
I said the singing was decent. He stayed in his lane with these hooks, and he's singing with the song, not against it. Not going too crazy with the vocals. And I was saying, I think if he's going to be doing like more singing, especially in the current or future music, this is
mm,
what he needs to implement, where he's just like doing like the singing he's doing but
mm,
like he's not doing the yodeling, not doing the extra crazy stuff. Like on some of these songs, it's just like he's just going along with the song singing. Now, I'm
yeah,
not saying it's the best singing, but it's definitely a lot better than some of the songs we've heard previously and we've reviewed and all that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, but another thing I said was verse was all right. Not a song that I remember too much from the state. So, like what you said, you don't really remember that song. Um, I heard it a couple times. And I'm like, okay, this is Forgive Me, but I'm like,
yeah.
it's it's one of those weird things where it's like I don't hate it, I don't love it, but I don't really remember much from it either. Like if I didn't have any notes from it, if you asked me
Mm.
what the song was, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah. Um, how was and before we review the tape and give our rating and stuff like that, I do want to ask you, and it might lead into your review as well anyway. First of all, how did you listen? Did you do like your multiple, headphones card? Did you do that like you normally do? And two, what was your experience as far as listening to it? Were you listening and then were you able to follow along? Were you able to, did it feel like one long listen or were you able to differentiate songs as they went along?
So it's crazy, right? So usually my first listen is I'll have my earbuds in, I'll be taking a walk where like I might not be like really tuned in. I'm just listening to the music and it's just playing. So whatever, if something pops out and I'm catching my ear,
Mm-hmm.
cool, you know what I mean? But if not, I'm just listening. So when I first listened, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. But then like later on throughout the tape, I remember being like, man, I don't know how I feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
Then I remember Friday night I was driving. This is before like I went out, I was going out,
Mm-hmm.
listened to it in the car, and the car really didn't sound bad or whatever. There's certain
Mm-hmm.
stuff that could have sounded better, but I'm like, compared to other projects where I'm like, yeah, do not listen to this in the car at all. You can listen to this in the car. I think it'd be fine. Um, yeah, I remember just like I'm like, maybe it was the first listen, wasn't really hearing it right because a lot of songs I like even more. I'm like, oh nah, like Charles is going in. Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get to finish listening to the whole tape. Crazy thing is, I think I stopped right before like Sensibility 2 and all that, whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
so like I got to listen to mostly everything until we before we got to like the end, and I'm like, man, I might have been too hard on this tape, you know. Today I listened to it in earbuds again, and everything sounds still sounding really good. I'm like, I'm actually listening. I actually like what I hear,
Mm-hmm.
but the songs that I end up not liking, still don't like. So it's just like, man. Uh, but it was important for me to get the multiple listens in because I definitely, if I would have just did that one listen, this would have got a worse review. But it's one of those
Mm-hmm.
things where it's like it just reminds me, yeah, like the sound quality isn't the worst. It's not the worst, but like I said, certain stuff it glares. It's there. It's there, and
Mm-hmm.
you notice it. You notice it every single time. It's not like, well, if I maybe turn it down a little, no, you'll still notice it.
Yeah. I think I did headphone. No, I did through the phone, which apparently that's a weird thing for people, apparently. Like people like, do people even listen through their phone anymore? I mean, yeah, sometimes if I'm doing something. Like if I'm like I need my phone, but I need it, whatever. I did that first. Um, and then I did headphones like on subsequent listens. I think that the audio is fine. No, let me rephrase. The audio isn't as jarring or as tough to listen to on other tapes as we've had, um, or that we've yet to get into. Um, but I think that because of the choices made in the audio thing, it does make for a very straight line listen in the sense that it feels like one long listen versus multiple songs, if that makes sense. Hard to differentiate. I know like a lot of them have like long beat ride outs, so like if the song is 2 minutes 30, he's gonna rap for like a minute 45, and then it's gonna be a 45 second what you call it. So, and this is one of those things where it's hard to you're really focusing on what Charles is doing more than anything because it's his ninth wonder stuff. So you really don't have to worry about the beats too much. There are some that we may not like, but you know it's going to be a good beat 9 times out of 10. So really, it's the focus on Charles and some of the things that Charles does, sequencing, as far as just how he laid things together, how he recorded stuff, how he layered stuff. It really made for a different kind of listen than what we've been listening to over the past few weeks. So it was definitely something I noticed, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when I do my rating. But it was definitely even every listen was the same way. I was like, damn, that happened is how I felt. So it was weird.
Yeah, man. But I don't want to, talk too much without reviewing how I really feel about it. So if you're ready, I'll start off with the review.
Yeah, so let's do it. We just listened to When I Want to Wonder in 2025. So let us know what your view is, any pros and cons, and the character rating that you were going to give it today.
All right, excuse me, sorry. Um, so and I mean this in the most respectful way. The Ninth Wonder beats carried hard on this project. Ninth obviously has great beats, And Charles made a comment about he found a beat of night. He found a pack of ninth beats, and he's like, "Oh, if y'all rap, y'all rap on them too." Charles did have a really nice performance with his freestyles for majority of the project. Like
Mhm.
the first like 7, 8 songs, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
riding with it. You know what I mean? I'm riding with what he's talking about. Um, some tracks he might have like slacked on, but the beats made up for it. So it's like that's why I feel the way I do about Stay in the Line, where I'm like the beat's really good, even though the
Hmm.
quality is good. Um, but like I said, the quality hurts the tape more than it could have if it was recorded, better. Um, Tape starts off very strong, but it just having like those many songs at the end, the tape ends poorly. There's not enough stamina. It's just one of those things where you're listening like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great, and it's like, man. So it's one of those weird things where that's why sequencing is important because you don't want the first half of the tape to be all of the weakest songs. You don't want the end to be like that. You
Hmm.
kind of have to figure out where you have to really pepper that type of stuff in to be like, okay, where could I do this? Where can I put that at? Um, I say this, you could easily shave some songs off here. Like those last three we were talking about, just take them off
Hmm.
completely. Take them off completely. Um, maybe if you like I said, maybe if you cut off like one or two other ones, I mean, make this like a 9, 10 song tape. This would easily get a because I really want to give this a bass sonic. I was giving this a bass sonic at first. When I first listened to it again in the car, I'm like, I might be flirting with giving this a supersonic. But then when you get to the end half of the tape, I'm like, nah, it's gonna get a bass sonic. And then with the quality and all that, and like it bogs it down even more. Um, so I'm going to give this a Knuckles.
Okay.
Has its ups and downs, but it's a little different where it's not just going up and down. It was going up like a roller coaster, and then at the end it just shot all the way down. And I'm like, man. So,
Yeah.
like I said, if you could cut off some of the songs at the end or whatever, like I could see this being a higher tape, and I would deal with the sound quality because it's not as bad as other projects. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a Knuckles.
This one's difficult, man. This is another trend of just, I pick a lot of ones where he's rapping over other people's beats. And I think
You do that.
it is me. I know. I'm a sucker. What you call it? It's weird because like I know Charles had commented recently that he thinks we should focus more on self-produced projects or whatever. And he's like rather than the ones where he's rapping over other people's beats. Um, it's crazy because I don't mean to the binges I did. But like some of the other tapes that I picked, I actually picked them because I wanted to listen to those tapes and I wanted to hear how he rapped or whatever. And this was the same situation. But for whatever reason, this was, I would say, from a listening experience, one of my least favorite listening experiences of since we've done this pod. And what I mean by that is just that it just felt like one song. It felt like how what he's recently done with a few tapes where the whole tape is one song or one video where it's like, oh, this is a 60-minute, what you call it? And there's no separation, so you can't really pick different songs. He's really asking you to listen to the whole thing from front to back. That's what it felt like. It felt like there was no differentiation. It felt like there was nothing that was like really other than the song that I really love, which was Sun Gun. I mean, I like those other two songs, but nothing really ever stood out. Everything just felt like one. It was like a lot of gray. Then you get that flash of like a different color gray, like a darker gray. But it all felt gray. It didn't feel like it was one of those things where I enjoyed listening to it. The music isn't bad, the rapping isn't bad, the audio's iffy, but if it's something you can get past, it's fine. But it just everything just felt like it was there. Like nothing, no purpose, no intent. Um, I just wanted to rap over ninth beats, which he's done before. We liked Happy Ninth. Like I think we enjoyed that. Um, he's rapped over Dilla stuff. We loved that. So he can do things like that, but it's just like you combine the audio issues, you combine some of the freestyling stuff, you combine sequencing issues, and it just makes for a very um mediocre or pedestrian listen. Like nothing that I want to revisit over. I was gonna give it a Mechasonic. I think I have to give it a Robotnik, man. Just
Really?
because, yeah, like it's just from a this is something I don't plan on revisiting. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of one of the things as far as Robotnik goes, is like I don't plan on revisiting. And we might if we do like a redux of like, whatever. But I just think it's one of those ones where I took the song that I need. I may take another, but I don't plan on listening to this full tape ever again.
Wow. Okay. I understand that completely because that is what it is. Tape's not for you, and you don't plan on, visiting it again, unless like I said we have for some reason we have to talk about this episode or this project again. For me, I could see myself going back to this tape, like it wouldn't be like immediately, but it's one of those things where like that first stretch of songs, like I said, I was vibing with, and part of me is just like, man, like I definitely got to check this tape out a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like I could eat, like I said, I could easily just like listen to the first 10 songs pretty much, or first 10, 11 songs, and then be like,
Hmm.
oh, I'll just cut it off after that. You know what I mean? And then I'll
Hmm.
just listen to it just like that. But understandable. I think the thing you were talking about with the tape sounding the same for the most
Hmm.
part, not beat wise, but if you notice, because like you said, the songs are really short. It's Charles freestyling and rapping for one verse. There might be a
Hmm.
hook out, one verse, hook out,
Yeah.
and a lot of the verses might sound similar to you if you didn't notice, because he's kind of telling a story about him and Briana. Like, oh, I got in the car with Briana and we were arguing. They said it wouldn't work, and we're trying to figure things out. Another song, me and Briana just got done arguing. We were talking about how I was on the label, and they were trying to give me this and that. Also, record execs didn't like you. They were trying to get rid of you and say you were bad for me. Another song, yeah, we got picked up from the airport and we were talking about this, and I wanted some top. Another song, yeah, I'm thinking about all the times we had back when we were doing this and that. And like if you think about it, it's like some of the songs, like verse wise, kind of similar, where it might not be too different where it doesn't stand out. So
Hmm.
if that's one of the things that you might have noticed, and it's like that's what's so gray about it, I definitely understand that. But yeah, just I figure you would have liked it a little bit more, but that's how this pod is. We're not always gonna like the same things, so I respect it, understand.
Yeah, I would even be okay if like you said, if if that's the storyline we're following, which if that's what we're following, maybe combine the two, right? Combine some songs together. Maybe instead of a 12 thing, we have a six, which we said if we have a 6 song tape, I think this is better because then it's a little bit higher. Maybe things sound a little bit different. Maybe you just choose one beat instead of choosing the second one or whatever. So, yeah, even tapes where, he's rapped over other people's beats and I'm like, this wasn't the best thing. I think I would still choose that over this one. But yeah, it's that's what the podcast for, man. Is I'm glad I did listen to it. I gave it the good try, whatever. And we want everybody else to do the same. So be sure to listen to When I Want to Wonder, man, and let us know what you think and how you feel about this tape overall. What were your favorite tracks? What do you think missed the mark? And do you think it had a sequencing issue and maybe shave some songs off and it gets a better score? What do you think? Let us know over on StarCHaser Central on YouTube. You can also visit us on StarCH Central on Twitter. You can also follow us on individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54, STIK Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, Mike D Jackson. That's Mike DEE Jackson. That's one D, two E's. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you guys are subscribed to him on his YouTube channel, the talented Mr. Hamilton. Um, by this point now, like you guys have probably already seen that he dropped that project with Chris Young, old
Mm-hmm.
heads. I think it's on streaming now. If you didn't know, it's on streaming. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Also Charles has been dropping other music. I think he's dropped some other songs recently with Chip,
Mm-hmm.
so check that out. It's on his YouTube. You never know when he's going to be dropping like a new live, a new project, or just new music. So that's why you need to be subscribed. And last but not least, make sure if you aren't in tune with the blog, make sure that you are checking out the blog. Enter thehamilton.blogspot.com. It's been a while since he's like updated that one, but at the same time, you never know when he's going to drop a new blog post. So there it is.
So yeah, again, just remind people, be sure to vote in the poll that we have for the March Madness tournament. Like I said, that will be closing soon, and we will have the results for you as soon as possible. Um, we're really going to need some half ideas for, or some tapes for half of our episodes while we, like we did last year. Half of it for the tournament and half of it we're review a tape or, talk about a subject. So if you have ideas, any tapes that kind of fit that mold, let us know so we can go and review those. Um, yeah, we're just excited to see, what the people pick and then, have those battle it out yet again for another great March.
Yes, sir. Also, it's going to be a great March because, as y'all know, it's the greatest month of the year because my birthday at the
Mhm.
end of March. You know what I mean? They have to save the best for last. But
Right.
seriously though, hopefully you guys continue. If you haven't voted, please vote. We have the poll on YouTube. We have it on Twitter. So please pick one, pick whatever and just let's just have fun with this again. So can't wait to see what happens.
The times are ahead, man. Mike, have anything for the people before we head out?
Just the usual. Thank you guys for checking out another episode. Like Stick said, if you have any ideas for projects you want us to review while we're doing the March Madness, probably it's best if you keep them as like the shorter projects that are like maybe like 5, 6 songs, if possible, 7 songs. Let us know. You know where to reach us at. Other than that, just keep watching, keep listening, and stay tuned. That's all I got.
All right, man. We are logging out of the StarCHaser Central podcast, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.
That to come watch. You can be my star.